Yo, hoop fans, your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Milwaukee Bucks and Los Angeles Clippers. In the heart of Los Angeles, a thrilling NBA face-off is on the horizon at the Crypto.com arena, pitting the Milwaukee Bucks against the Los Angeles Clippers. Both teams stand evenly matched with 41 wins each, making this game a pivotal moment for the Clippers, who are hungry for vengeance in their stronghold against the formidable Bucks, who have outplayed them in 8 out of their last 10 meetings. The stakes are raised following a recent victory by the Bucks, adding fuel to the fiery rivalry. The Bucks, despite stumbling in their last 2 games against the Warriors and Lakers, possess a high-octane offense, netting an average of 120.9 points with a shooting accuracy of 49.1%, led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, known as the Greek Freak, who averages 30.8 points and 11.2 rebounds, and complemented by Damian Lillard's sharp shooting. The Bucks' offensive prowess is evident. However, missing Chris Middleton and a possibly hampered Giannis raise concerns about their depth and resilience, particularly on the road where their performance has been hit or miss with a 16-16 record. Conversely, the Clippers, coming off wins against the Rockets and Bulls, demonstrate their strength with an average score of 117.2 points and a shooting efficiency of 49.2%. The combination of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, along with James Harden's playmaking, presents a well-rounded offensive strategy for LA. Their superior three-point shooting at 38.9% and free throw accuracy at 81.5% could tip the scales in this match. Nonetheless, Russell Westbrook's absence due to injury may thin their ranks. Considering the recent performances and historical matchups in Los Angeles, the Clippers have showcased their tenacity at home with an impressive 22-8 record. Their perimeter defense will be crucial against a Bucks team that shines from three-point land. The Clippers' home record and sharp shooting edge, coupled with the Bucks' struggles on the road, hint at a potential victory for the Clippers, especially if they capitalize on their strengths. A deep dive into the stats, considering the Bucks' day game challenges at Crypto.com, arena after a road loss, and their difficulty against Western Conference teams, suggest the Clippers have an edge. Despite the Bucks' recent dominance in this rivalry, the Clippers' determination to reverse their fortunes, bolstered by home advantage and the Bucks' injury woes, leans towards a Clippers win. With bookmakers favoring the Bucks by a 3.5-point spread and setting the total points at 227.5, betting wisdom suggests backing the Clippers to beat the spread. The Clippers' defensive tenacity, especially around the arc, and efficient long-range and free-throw scoring position them well not just to beat the spread, but possibly to clinch the win against an injury-riddled Bucks team on the road. Moreover, the game's total points are expected to favor the under, reflecting both teams' recent defensive strategies. In summary, the Los Angeles Clippers, leveraging their home advantage, defensive tactics, and scoring efficiency, are expected to overcome the 3.5-point spread against the Milwaukee Bucks. This game is anticipated to be closely contested, but the Clippers' resolve, especially in breaking past series challenges, is predicted to be the key to their victory. My bet is on the Clippers to beat the spread, with total points likely falling under, given the defensive strengths at play. The next prediction for today is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Atlanta Hawks. In the thick of the NBA's heart-pounding season, we're on the brink of a captivating showdown at the State Farm Arena, where the New Orleans Pelicans will clash with the Atlanta Hawks. More than just another game on the schedule, this clash holds the key to playoff dreams for both squads. The Pelicans, buoyed by a hot 3-game streak, are eyeing a solid spot in the Western Conference ranks, while the Hawks, matching that win streak, are hungry to ascend the Eastern Conference ladder. The Pelicans have been lighting up the scoreboard, boasting an impressive average of 116.4 points per game on a robust 48.7% shooting accuracy, a testament to their sharpshooting and playmaking finesse. Zion Williamson has been unstoppable, averaging 22 points and 5.6 boards, with Brandon Ingram and C.J. McCollum providing stellar backup. On defense, they've held their ground. limiting opponents to 111.2 points on 46% shooting, showcasing a well-rounded game that marries offense with defense seamlessly. Meanwhile, the Hawks have turned heads with their explosive offense, scoring an eye-catching 119.9 points per game, although their defense has shown some cracks, conceding 121.5 points on average. This sets the stage for a classic showdown of offensive might versus defensive determination, with Dejounte Murray spearheading Atlanta's charge, supported by Bogdan Bogdanovic's lethal perimeter shooting. The Hawks' edge in rebounding might tip the scales, especially when it comes to snagging those crucial second chance of points. Looking back at recent matchups in Atlanta, the trend has leaned towards lower total scores, a pattern that may persist given the significant playoff implications at stake. Both teams historically clamped down defensively when facing familiar foes, hinting at a game where defense could dominate the narrative. Considering both teams' recent form and historical performances in similar situations, the Pelicans have excelled in dispatching teams with subpar road records, underscoring their strategic edge in such encounters. However, the Hawks have a knack for toppling expectations at home, marking them as formidable contenders in this face-off. The decisive factor might boil down to the battle for rebounds and three-point precision. The Pelicans' slight superiority in perimeter shooting and rebound control could sway the game in their favor. Yet, the Hawks' urgent push for playoff positioning and their scoring spree capability should not be discounted. Injury updates could tip the balance, with Jalen Johnson's uncertain availability potentially affecting the Hawks' depth and versatility. The Pelicans, seemingly at full strength, may have a slight personnel advantage. This game is shaping up to be a nail-biter, with the Pelicans poised for a narrow victory. Their balanced offensive and defensive prowess should enable them to dictate the pace and exploit the Hawks' defensive gaps. Despite a valiant effort from the Hawks, the Pelicans' edge in shooting accuracy and board control will likely be the game-changer in a tight contest. Expect the Pelicans to secure the win, but the Hawks should keep it within the 7-point spread, buoyed by their scoring depth and form. The total score is tipped to fall below the predicted threshold as both teams gear up for a defensive showdown in this playoff critical clash. Bank on the Hawks to beat the spread in a battle where defensive grit and rebound mastery will dictate the outcome. The next prediction for today is for the game between Washington Wizards and Miami Heat. As the Washington Wizards gear up for a showdown against the Miami Heat at the Kaseya Center, the storyline is a goldmine for NBA fans and betting circles. The Wizards, now on the sidelines for the playoffs, and the Heat, cementing their place in the Eastern Conference, set a stage filled with stakes for both squads. The Wizards, battling through ups and downs, have had their moments of grit. Kyle Kuzma has been at the forefront, averaging a solid 22.3 points and 6.5 rebounds per game, standing as a pillar of reliability. Their offense has been firing, with a scoring average of 114.5 points on a 47.1% shooting rate, but it's their defense that's been leaking, conceding 124.2 points on 50% shooting. They've embraced a high-octane style, leading the league in pace, yet lagging behind in defensive efficiency. Marvin Bagley III's absence is a setback, but their shift to smaller, quicker lineups could give them an edge in speed and outside shooting. On the flip side, the Miami Heat are hitting this game on the back of 2 straight losses. However, looking at the season as a whole, they've shown solid defensive mettle, ranking 8th in defensive efficiency, and their offense, though not flashy, is effective and well-rounded. With Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and the emerging Jaime Jaquez Jr., the Heat boast a diversified offense. The absence of Tyler Herro, Josh Richardson, and Kevin Love, though, opens up an avenue for the Wizards to exploit. The Heat's slow tempo, one of the slowest in the league, might be rattled by the Wizards' preference for a faster pace. Past matchups and recent performances at the Kaseya Center suggest a trend leaning towards the Heat, particularly with their strong showings on Sundays against the Wizards and their knack for beating the spread on the road. But the Wizards' resilience, especially off a win, shouldn't be underestimated. After dissecting recent forms, head-to-heads, and team setups, we're looking at a nail-biter. The Heat's defensive strength and the Wizards' offensive charge promise a battle down to the wire. Yet, with the Heat playing at home and boasting a superior defense against the Wizards' porous defense, the scales are slightly tipped towards Miami. Anticipating a rout would be off the mark, given the Wizards' spirited play and the Heat's occasional dips in intensity. The Heat are pegged for the win, but the Wizards, with their rapid offense and Kuzma's scoring, are expected to beat the 9.5-point spread. A projected total of 229.5 points indicates a scoring spree, in line with both teams' offensive dynamics and the Wizards' defensive woes. Wrapping up, while the Miami Heat seem poised for the win, the resilient Washington Wizards, stepping up as the dark horses, are tipped to outdo the spread, leveraging their offensive quickness against the Heat's reduced lineup. Brace for an encounter that highlights the sheer unpredictability and thrill of the NBA, with my prediction leaning towards the Wizards to outperform the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Philadelphia 76ers and New York Knicks. In the electrifying atmosphere of Madison Square Garden, the stage is set for a critical clash between the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks. The 76ers are eager to bounce back from a recent slump, with 5 defeats in their last 7 outings, while the Knicks aim to leverage their consistent performance. The contrast is stark. The 76ers, struggling with a 3-game skid against the Knicks' formidable defense, highlighted in their decisive win over the Magic. A deep dive into the stats shows the Knicks as a bastion of strength on their home turf, particularly against Atlantic Division foes, with an impressive .532 win rate against the spread. Their track record as favorites at the Garden further emphasizes their advantage in this duel. On the flip side, the 76ers' woes in evening games and their faltering against the spread in recent visits suggest deeper issues. The Knicks' sterling defensive tactics, earning them a second place in points allowed, stands in contrast to the 76ers' offensive focus, evident in their average ranking for points scored. Examining team dynamics further, the Knicks' superiority in rebounds and restricting opponents' rebounds is key, given the 76ers' weaker rebounding. Philadelphia's control over turnovers showcases their disciplined play, yet their struggles from beyond the arc might limit their offensive flow against the Knicks' defense. Historical matchups at the Garden overwhelmingly favor the Knicks, with the home team winning 18 of the last 19. This dominance, along with the Knicks' strong performance as spread favorites and the 76ers' recent betting woes, indicates a psychological edge for New York. Injuries add to the 76ers' challenges, with critical players out, while the Knicks also navigate roster limitations. Despite these setbacks, New York's unified team and defensive strength position them as strong competitors. The 76ers, though facing injuries and form issues, could rely on their resilience but have a tough battle ahead. Considering the stats, home court advantage, and historical trends, the Knicks are the favored victors, yet the betting line offers a twist. The 76ers, despite challenges, have the determination to keep it close, making them a good bet to beat the 7.5-point spread. With a total points line at 201.5, the game is expected to lean under, reflecting the Knicks' defensive focus and the 76ers' scoring difficulties without key players. In summary, anticipate a win for the New York Knicks, maintaining their stronghold at Madison Square Garden. Nevertheless, the Philadelphia 76ers, with their tenacity and potential for strategic innovation, are likely to beat the spread in a closely fought battle that highlights the NBA's complexity and unpredictability. My bet is on the 76ers to cover the 7.5-point spread, with total points falling below 212. The next prediction for today is for the game between Indiana Pacers and Orlando Magic. In a captivating showdown within the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers are gearing up to take on the Orlando Magic at the Kia Center, igniting the flames of their enduring rivalry once more. Fresh from a tightly contested defeat against the Timberwolves, the Pacers are eager to redeem themselves and cement their standing in the playoff race. On the other side, the Magic are looking to turn the page on a disheartening loss to the Knicks. With both squads vying for a spot in the playoffs, the stakes couldn't be higher for this clash. The Pacers have been lighting up the scoreboard all season, leading the pack with a staggering average of 123.3 points per game, thanks to a scorching 50.6% field goal shooting. The dynamic duo of Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam has been central to this, chalking up over 40 points per game between them. However, Indiana's defense has been their weak spot, conceding 121.8 points per game and languishing near the league's bottom, a flaw that often undermines their scoring prowess, particularly in away games. Conversely, the Orlando Magic have built their strategy around a tight defense, securing the third spot in scoring defense by limiting opponents to just 109.4 points per game. While their scoring hasn't been as explosive, with an average of 110.9 points per game, Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner have consistently posed a threat. The Magic's defensive strength, combined with their knack for exploiting Indiana's defensive gaps, will be key in this face-off. Delving into recent performances and historical clashes paints a detailed picture. The Magic have shown their might on their home turf, boasting a 21-8 record, highlighting their comfort and efficiency at the Kia Center. Furthermore, Orlando has edged out in their recent face-offs this season, notching wins in both encounters, including a decisive victory in December. This pattern, together with their defensive rigor, tips the scales in their favor against the Pacers, who have struggled to clamp down on their rivals. Despite the Pacers' offensive threat, their recent run has been marred by inconsistency, with losses in 3 of their last 4 outings. Their defensive issues have been a significant hurdle in clinching wins, especially in close games. Although Orlando's recent defeat to the Knicks was a bump in the road, it hardly detracts from their overall solid form and clutch performance capability. Weighing the team's offensive and defensive capabilities against each other, the Pacers' scoring efficiency is offset by their defensive shortcomings. The Magic's well-rounded approach, marrying a stout defense with a competent offense, gives them the upper hand in this encounter. Additionally, Orlando's impressive home record and their recent dominance over the Pacers bolster their chances of triumph. Injury updates and team dynamics further skew the prediction towards the Magic. Indiana's defensive adjustment struggles, alongside the absence of key players, might impede their competitiveness against Orlando's disciplined game plan. The Magic's home advantage and defensive fortitude are poised to be the game changers. Considering the team's recent form, head-to-head history, and overall stats, the forecast favors the Orlando Magic. Their defensive expertise is set to neutralize Indiana's offensive firepower, and their proven track record at home suggests they're well placed to emerge victorious. Moreover, Orlando's recent upper hand in this rivalry underscores their likelihood of clinching a win. Thus, the advice for bettors is to place their bets on the Orlando Magic to overcome the 1.5-point spread and clinch the victory. Given the contrasting strengths and weaknesses of both teams, this matchup offers a prime opportunity for the Magic to advance their playoff ambitions while leveraging the Pacers' defensive vulnerabilities. My pick is on the Orlando Magic to triumph. The next prediction for today is for the game between Houston Rockets and Sacramento Kings. In the electric atmosphere of the NBA, an enthralling face-off is on the horizon as the Houston Rockets gear up to clash with the Sacramento Kings at the Golden One Center. This confrontation is more than a display of raw talent and strategic mastery. It's a litmus test for both teams' recent form. Despite a season of ups and downs, the Rockets have dazzled us with moments of brilliance, especially in their win against the Trail Blazers. Conversely, the Kings have been on a tear, demolishing teams like the Spurs and Lakers with their dual-threat offense and defense. The Rockets' game plan revolves around the explosive duo of Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green, whose standout performances have lit up the scoreboard. Sengun's impressive stats and Green's scoring spree are pivotal to Houston's attack. Fred VanVleet, too, plays a critical role, his recent showcases in assists and points underlining his value in setting up plays. Yet, the Rockets' struggle for consistency, especially on the road, is a hurdle they must overcome, with their three-point and free-throw shooting being key to victory. On the other side, the Kings are led by the dynamic De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, who have powered through defenses with ease. Fox's scoring finesse and Sabonis's control under the hoop are central to Sacramento's offensive strategy. Their standout performances, including Sabonis's almost triple-doubles and Fox's decisive scoring, highlight their knack for sealing games. The Kings' offensive depth, evidenced by their scoring averages, ranks them among the NBA's top offensive teams. Examining past duels at the Golden One Center sheds light on the Kings' home court advantage and their propensity to overpower opponents both inside the paint and from distance. Additionally, facing a back-to-back game scenario after playing the Golden State Warriors adds a layer of exhaustion for the Kings, yet their depth and scoring capability suggests they can navigate this challenge effectively. When comparing the two teams, it's a battle of contrasting strategies. The Rockets need to tighten their defense and leverage their rebounding to counter the Kings' offensive firepower. With superior shooting accuracy and rebounding stats, the Kings have the edge. Their efficiency in scoring and defensive prowess in limiting three-point shots make them the favorites. Taking into account the offensive depth of the Kings, the Rockets' struggles away from home, and their past performances in Sacramento, the game is tipped to be a scoring bonanza, with the Kings utilizing their strengths effectively. The Rockets, driven by Green and Van Vliet, will fight hard, but the Kings' comprehensive strategy and home advantage should tip the scales in their favor. Thus, predicting a winner or who will cover the spread in this closely matched game is challenging. The safe bet is to expect a showdown that surpasses the total points line, a nod to the unpredictable yet thrilling nature of the NBA, grounded in statistical analysis and the recent track record of both squads. My pick is for the total points to exceed 231.5. The next prediction for today is for the game between Brooklyn Nets and Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's NBA showdown features the Brooklyn Nets hitting the road to clash with the Cleveland Cavaliers at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It's a battle of East Coast giants as the surging Cavs, perched high in second place with a 41-22 record, look to further cement their top-tier status. Meanwhile, the Nets, stuck in 11th with a 25-38 mark, are hungry for victories to turn their season around. Fresh off commanding wins against the Celtics and Timberwolves, but tripping up against the Hawks, Cleveland's offense is firing on all cylinders. Led by Donovan Mitchell, dropping 28 points a game, and Darius Garland's playmaking, they're netting an impressive 114 points per game on 47.9% shooting. On the defensive end, they're locking things down, giving up just 109.4 points on 45.4% shooting, showcasing their grit and balance with a solid 36.5% from beyond the arc and a formidable rebounding presence. The Nets, on the flip side, have been riding a roller coaster, snagging wins against powerhouses like the 76ers, but faltering against the Hornets and Pistons. Scoring 112 points on 45.8% shooting, they're slightly off the Cavs' pace, with their defensive struggles more glaring, allowing 114.1 points at a higher shooting percentage from their adversaries. Despite hurdles, stars like Mikal Bridges and Cam Thomas have sparked the offense, though finding consistency remains their Achilles heel. In their last meetup on February 8, 2024, the Nets blew past the Cavs 118-95, proving they can be a force when everything clicks. Yet, this win doesn't overshadow the season's broader narrative, where the Cavs have generally had the upper hand, especially on their home turf. The backdrop of previous battles in Cleveland shows the Cavs often leveraging their home court to their advantage, a challenge the Nets have yet to overcome. Add to this an injury report highlighting significant absences for the Cavs, including Strus, Mobley, and Mitchell, which might level the playing field. Factoring in team stats, recent form, and their history in Cleveland, the matchup might be tighter than the odds imply. The Cavs' offensive firepower and defensive rigidity grant them the upper hand, but missing key pieces could impair their spread coverage. Hence, it's savvy to bet on the Brooklyn Nets to cover the 8-point spread. With the Cavs' injury woes and the Nets' capacity to capitalize on their recent upticks, Brooklyn is poised to keep it close. While the Cavs may clinch the victory, the Nets covering the spread is the smarter wager. My money's on the Brooklyn Nets to beat the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Memphis Grizzlies and Oklahoma City Thunder. As the Memphis Grizzlies lace up for a showdown against the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Paycom Center, diving into their recent performances, stats face off, and past encounters is key to forecasting the outcome of this much-anticipated battle. The Grizzlies have had a mixed run recently, securing wins against the Nets and 76ers, but falling short against the Hawks. They've been scoring an average of 106 points with a shooting accuracy of 43.8%, while allowing their rivals to notch up 112.3 points at a 47% clip. Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. have been the stars for Memphis, despite the team's struggles from downtown and defensive hiccups. On the flip side, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been more stable, clinching victories over the Heat and Trail Blazers, and only faltering against the Lakers. with an average score of 120.8 points on a stellar 50% shooting and keeping the opposition to 113.2 points at 45.3%. The Thunder, propelled by Shai Gilgeous Alexander's outstanding scoring and assists, stand out for their offensive dominance. Their sharpshooting from the three-point line and prowess at the charity stripe, along with their rebounding strength, highlight a balanced team that's tough to conquer. Trend-wise, Oklahoma City has excelled as the favorite, triumphing in a majority of such matchups. Their scoring advantage over the Grizzlies, coupled with Memphis's challenges in keeping pace in high-score games, tips the balance in favor of the Thunder. Additionally, Oklahoma City's depth in scoring and defensive grit, placing them at the top in offensive rankings and notably in defense, poses a serious challenge for Memphis. Past duels in Oklahoma City showcase tight contests, yet the Thunder's home turf and recent momentum hint at their readiness for a win. Still, the Grizzlies' fighting spirit and their knack for staying competitive, even as underdogs, as their spread record shows, suggest they're not bowing out without a fight. The earlier clash between these teams resulted in a score much lower than the predicted total, hinting at a defensive showdown influenced by play pace, with a recent dip in Oklahoma City's offensive efficiency. Considering the Thunder's recent misses against the spread and the hefty 15.5-point spread for this game, alongside both squads' latest outings and their historical encounters, the forecast leans towards the Memphis Grizzlies covering the spread. The Thunder might clinch the win with their superior offensive and defensive stats, especially at home, but the spread seems too ambitious for a Memphis team known for keeping things tight. Anticipate an intense match where the Thunder emerge victorious, but not by the margin the odds makers anticipate. The total points are expected to fall short of the 220.5-point threshold, mirroring both team scoring patterns and their mutual history. To wrap up, the wise bet is on the Memphis Grizzlies to cover the spread in a contest where the total score is projected to remain below 220.5. Despite Oklahoma City's edge, the spread looks overly hopeful, underestimating Memphis's grit and the defensive dynamics pivotal in matchups of this caliber. My pick is for the Memphis Grizzlies to cover the 16-point spread. The last prediction for today is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Los Angeles Lakers. In the high-voltage setting of the Crypto.com arena this Sunday, the Minnesota Timberwolves square off against the Los Angeles Lakers in what promises to be more than your average NBA showdown. This face-off is a blend of skillful competition and tactical warfare, influenced by the team's recent form, injury updates, and past clashes. The Timberwolves are on a roller coaster ride of performances, having recently trounced the Trailblazers and Pacers, yet stumbling against the Cavaliers. Boasting an average of 113.2 points with a solid 48.5% field goal rate while holding adversaries to 106.6 points at a 44.6% shooting efficiency, Minnesota presents a formidable front both in offense and defense. Spearheaded by Anthony Edwards, with significant support from Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, they have the firepower to dazzle on the scoreboard and reign supreme in rebounding. On the flip side, the Lakers have shown their scoring might in recent triumphs over the Thunder and Bucks, averaging 117.2 points on a remarkable 49.9% shooting, albeit conceding 117.7 points. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, backed by D'Angelo Russell, ensure the Lakers' scoreboard keeps buzzing. However, their defensive fragility might be exposed, particularly against a team wielding Minnesota's scoring arsenal. Looking at the trends, the Lakers have proven their mettle at home, securing 22 wins as the favorites. Yet, their spread-covering performances suggest a struggle in games where they're expected to dominate. Conversely, the Timberwolves have demonstrated their grit as the underdog, boasting a 7-6 record when facing steeper odds, highlighting their knack for defying expectations. Head-to-head stats in Los Angeles depict a saga of closely fought contests, with the Lakers usually enjoying home court supremacy. But the Timberwolves have flipped the script in recent meets, clinching victories against the Lakers and signaling their ascendancy and tactical edge. Victory in this clash will likely pivot on Minnesota, exploiting the Lakers' defensive weaknesses, the Lakers' home advantage, and the star performer's impact, particularly LeBron James's condition for the Lakers. Comparatively, Minnesota's defensive prowess and the Lakers' shortcomings suggest a slight advantage for the Timberwolves. Coupled with their recent success against the Lakers and efficient scoring and rebounding, Minnesota is well positioned to not just beat the spread, but also to snatch a road win. In sum, with their balanced assault, resilience as underdogs, and commendable track record in Los Angeles, the Timberwolves are geared to beat the spread and possibly edge out a win against the Lakers. Anticipate a high-scoring game, with both sides likely pushing past the total points threshold. However, Minnesota's strategic prowess and efficiency could tip the balance in their favor, marking them as the squad to bet on in this thrilling encounter. While predicting this match is tricky, I lean towards the Minnesota Timberwolves to beat the spread, and am considering a bet on the total points surpassing the 222.5 mark, given the offensive strength of both teams.